Thank you for honoring me with your presence. I don't take that for granted, so thank you. Obviously, we're a little late getting started, but I'm just going to jump into it. I'm a chef, actually, by trade. So I've been a chef for 20 years. I used to cook for some celebs. I'll name drop because I know that people like that. Tom Cruise, George Clooney, Gerard Butler, a little bit with Barbara Streisand. Beautiful home, by the way. And a bunch of other people, John Cusack, Fergie, like just, someone that's in the news right now, Sean Puffy Combs. I cooked for him. I did not see anything, I swear. But it's just been a pleasure. I had the fortune of cooking for these very high performance people. And it was really interesting when I got into the industry 20 years ago, right? There was like I think the book at the time that was the popular book was The Fat Flush Diet. And even at that age, in that time, I was like, these trends, they're really BS. Because they come and go, right? Atkins used to be vegan, now it's called plant-based. It's constantly coming in and out, and I call that the yo-yo, right? We all call it that, the yo-yo dieting, right? It just kind of comes in, what's the most popular book at the time? Oh, okay, we'll do that. But the reality is that, and this is a quote from Bill Schindler, who wrote Eat Like a Human, highly recommend his stuff in that book. He's a friend. We are the only species in the world that looks to someone else to tell us what to eat. And this quote, it always makes me pause. Like, I've said this quote now like 50, 100 times, and I'm always like, I get chills. Because here, I wrote down the number. There are projected 8.7 million species. 8.7 million species on this planet. We are the only one that doesn't know what the F to eat. Like, what the heck happened? Like, where did we go wrong? We've strayed so far, how do we get back? And that's what I really want to explore. And I have some stuff down. I'll try to go back and forth in notes, but I want to really speak from my heart about it because it's really, I've been in this industry a long time, and everyone on that stage out there, every booth can be telling you, this is what's healthy, this is what's worked. But you know what? It's what worked for them. It may not work for you. And what I'm about to talk about today is the outcome I want from when you leave here is I want you to leave hungry. First of all, I don't want you to leave kind of feeling like, I don't know what to eat anymore. I just feel depressed. I want you to leave inspired and hungry for what's out there in the world. But I also want you to get to know yourself a little bit more, a little bit better. Be listening for the cues, because they're there all the time. We're just not listening. We don't know what to look for. So that's ultimately what we're talking about here. So, a long, long time ago, all right? Imagine everyone in this room, probably a smaller group in this room, but imagine that we are a tribe, okay? This is basically where we came from, is we were a tribe. A lot of times when you had hunter and gatherer period, and of course there were periods before that where we were foragers. So we used to actually forage all day, because when you forage, you have to get a lot of calories. We also had smaller brains. We didn't have the communication skills we have now, right? Our bodies were different then. But during this period, this tribe, when we finally did start to become, so we went from foragers to then scavengers. We were no different than like hyenas and vultures, right? So there would be a predator out there, kill the animal. The animal's best parts are gone, and what's left is basically the muscle. Oh, wait. Someone else, is Sean Baker over there? He's the one that says ribeye is the prize piece. So why didn't the predators in the past, why didn't they eat the ribeye? That's interesting. Something to think about, right? So what happened is the scavengers would come and peck on the muscle meat because that's what was left. And it wasn't until and this is something that Bill talks about all the time, it wasn't until we got a tool, and now we had the ability to become the predator. And mind you, when we were scavengers, we did get muscle meat, but not much changed in terms of our evolution. However, we got a tool, whatever it was, rudimentary rock, whatever, some kind of sharp thing, and we were able to become the predator. And then something happened. We got three things that we did not get previously: the blood, the fat, and the organs. And those are probably the most efficient vehicles for nutrition that our bodies had experienced up to that time. We also got fire around that time. So now we were able to cook meat, which opened the doors up to even more nutrition. True, heat can also destroy, but it's both. There's both happen at the same time. So basically, we suddenly got this plethora of like nutrition, and then that's when we start moving into Homo sapien, which is now closer to what the body is now. That's where our brains enlarged, and guess what shrunk? Our digestive tract. So now the things that other animals can do, the other animals can eat amazing things that we can't eat. Like we can't eat grass like a cow can. We'll die. Like we won't get enough nutrients, right? So there's things that other animals could do because their digestive tracts allow for it. But we got a bigger brain, and guess what we were then able to do? And this is what a lot of people aren't talking out there about, particularly the carnivore crowd. They're not talking about the fact that, and Bill talks about this a lot in his book, Eat Like a Human, is that we now have a bigger brain, so we now have the ability to take food that was harmful, like the plants that were toxic, but we were able to make them digestible by culturing them, by fermenting them, by adding these things, doing these things to them that our stomachs previously had done, our digestive tracts had done. So this just changed everything, right? So now suddenly the things that were potentially poisonous to us were no longer poisonous. They were actually nutrition havens. But this is also where this is the time where our palate is being really formed. And if you think about it, back in the day, the sweet flavors, they were eliciting, that was an indication of nutrition, for example. If something had sweetness, it told you that there were nutrients in it. If it was bitter, it was potentially toxic or poisonous, right? So your palate is forming. And this is, and I'm talking about ancestrally, but this is still true today. So everything I'm saying about the past of this period of Homo sapien is the same today. This is when our palate is getting formed. Very, very important, because we try to separate ourselves. We talk about ancestral, and the reality is the food that's available today it's not even close to what it used to look like at best. So it's not apples to apples. We can't say, like, let's eat ancestral. It's like, well, they weren't eating cows then. They were eating something else. You know what I mean? So it's not equal. But we can still apply the principles of palate. And that's ultimately what we're talking about today, is that flavor is our gateway into reconnecting with our ancestral knowledge of what we should be eating, so that we don't have to look to someone else or outside our body. And we do it through the lingual neural response. Now, this is a really interesting concept. It's something that I believe that I remember growing up, and I'm sure you did too, like all those sci-fi movies where they talked about the magic pill, and all you got to do is take that one capsule and you get your entire day's worth of food. Do you remember those kind of futuristic movies? So we've been taught for many years now that there's this idea of like, there's a laboratory-made food out there called Soylent Green. Did anyone see that movie? Humans, no. But there's this laboratory-made food out there that's going to give us everything we need. And all we got to do is eat it. Well, usually it's in the form, and you hear a lot of influencers not talking about it. I mean, they're proud. Like, I think Dave Asher talks about, I take 160 capsules a day, and he's proud of it. It's like, really? Like, we're completely bypassing this lingual neural response. So what is this lingual neural response? Well, it's basically your senses. Your senses are communicating. So imagine that here we are, Homo sapien, okay? You hear something drop, hearing. You hear something drop, you're walking through a forest. What is that? You turn to look at it, and in the distance you see a tree, and there's something colorful in it. So now your vision is involved. And this is all communication, right? Hearing, what was that? That was a weird noise. Looking, I see this color. What is that? I get closer. This aroma starts to come into my senses. It's like a sweet smell. What is that? I now reach for it. I grab it. It's not hard. It's soft. It's plump. That insinuates that's communicating. Maybe there's something in there. I bring it towards my mouth. I now smell it even more so. My senses are communicating. Ooh, I'm getting inspired here. What is going on? I now bite it. The juices are going down my mouth. I'm like mastication is happening, and I'm getting the pulp, and it's like literally lighting me up. My cells are getting fuel that they hadn't gotten before, and it's like, ooh. And anyone that's fasted for a long period of time knows exactly what I'm talking about. This is the sensation you recreate when you fast. But so now your cells are awakening. Your body now is getting communicated. Do you want more of this, or do you want less of it? Does this feel poisonous or does this feel good? It's all communication. No longer do I need to go and talk to the magician, in our tribe that tells us this is what you should be eating. Like, oh, my body is telling me what to eat. And all it was attached to was by listening to my senses. Very, very, and it's all, like, this is all bypassed when we swallow a pill. Because what happens when I put, salt on my tongue? Well, when I put salt on my tongue, I get this sensation. Ooh, that's good. I want more of that. Maybe I do it again. Second time, I'm like, yeah, that was good, but it wasn't as good as the first time. Third time, my body's literally telling me, this does not taste good anymore. Like, I'm overstimulated. There's too much salt. My taste buds are overwhelmed. And it literally, the salt tastes different. But if I swallow a salt tablet, I get no communication. 15, 20 minutes later, I've even forgotten I took that salt tablet. I'm like, God, I feel so bloated. What is going on? Oh, I got too much of something. So one is not, the body, that lingual response is not allowing us to overeat when it's real food, right? It's not allowing us to kind of go against our body. But when you swallow a capsule, it's like guesswork. And if you're not testing, which most of us are not, we're going by, Mr. Google, right? Mr. Google's our doctor. And we're just going like, oh, so-and-so told me that I should be doing this and that. Well, let me try that. And then we're not listening. We're just swallowing pills. And I can't even tell you, if any of you know me, like I have a product that I call Pluck. So it's an organ meat-based product. And they'll come to me and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I've been taking the pills of so-and-so company. And I just feel so nauseous. And I'm like, yeah, because you're bypassing your body's knowledge of what it needs. Like if you just ate it, your body wouldn't let you have as much as the 8 capsules. It would probably stop you at 2 or 3, or maybe 1. I don't know. It depends on your body. So we're completely missing this information that is it's available to us 24/7. And I already give this the salt, and it even goes beyond flavor. But before I even get to the slide, I'll just share So this is an interesting one. So you're at the grocery store, and as I'm talking, if this resonates with you, just kind of slowly raise your hand. But you're at the grocery store, you're like, oh, I'm so hungry. I really want to eat something here. And now you're standing in front of an aisle, or whatever it is, and you have 20 options. And you're just like, oh my God. But you're so hungry, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to go down where the crackers and the cookies are. There's something pulling me over there. And now you're looking over there, and your stomach starts turning, or you fart, or you burp, right? Your body literally has a physical reaction to what you're looking at. And it's one that's kind of either one of those 3. It's like you burp, you fart, you just feel like this gurgling in your stomach. And it's not a hunger gurgling. It's more of like this is not going to feel good if you eat this, right? That is your body communicating. There is something called muscle testing. You're seeing this. Your brain, it's not like you have never had a cookie. Your body knows what that's going to get from it. And it's giving you feedback, and yet none of us listen to it. We're like, I don't care if I have to open my belt or if I'm going to feel sick. I want it now, And it's like, you go crazy and you want to eat it. And then after you've eaten it all, because your body doesn't stop eating it, and we'll talk about why it doesn't stop. But then your body doesn't stop, and then you're at the place where, okay, I got to undo my belt. This is, of course, holidays as well happens. You feel numb. You no longer feel like you're in your body because you've completely overeaten, and so you just feel gross. You don't want anyone to look at you. You don't want anyone to talk to you. You just want to sit in front of the TV and pretend you don't exist because you feel completely out of your body. Because if you were technically you're in your body, but you don't like how it feels. Right? And we're doing that constantly. That is our yo-yo. Doesn't matter what diet you're on. I mean, I can't even tell you how many good people have come up to me saying like, yeah, last year I was doing this diet and I fell off. It's like if we could just, for a moment, stop falling off and like get out of that rat race of like even thinking that there is someone else's diet that we need to follow. And we'll get to like, well, what is the food pyramid for what you're talking about, James? But let's also talk about this, because this is really important too. So, because I'm talking a lot about your body's response and then the food, but it's more than that. So there's also ambiance and lighting. Have you ever been on a date and you go to a restaurant that has that low lit? It feels good, doesn't it? Like you feel like, wow, this is a special evening. It changes your mood. You find you get more relaxed. You maybe get a little softer, and you're looking at your person across from you, and you're like feeling doughy eyes, It's like it literally affects you on a physical level. So ambiance and lighting is important. Community, who are you sitting across from? Does that make you stressed out? Does that make you relax? Does it make you laugh more? When we laugh more, we're in that parasympathetic mode. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to disregard this stuff. Or you just sit in front of a TV and you're eating from, that's how my family ate when I was growing up. At one point, in the early 90s or late 80s, everyone had a TV. Because when I grew up, you really only had one TV, you know what I mean? And then you got those little black and white TVs, and you had those in your room. But then eventually, we all had these little color TVs everywhere. There's a TV in literally every room. And we all would go to our separate rooms, watch our separate shows, and we just ate alone, watch in front of a TV. And how many of you are doing that in front of your phone right now? And that's literally a zero-sum game, because you're doing exactly, it's no different than just swallowing a pill, because basically you're not in your senses, you're checked out, and you're eating this food just mindlessly, and you're not really feeling the food. You're not in communication and in community. You're not in ambiance and lighting, and then, of course, your environment. Like whether it's outside, is it inside, is it loud, is it quiet? Like none of all these things go away because you're just focusing on, checking out with the TV. And then, because you're doing that, you're losing touch with that ancestral knowledge of what does my body want, need. We're now not listening. So let's dig a little deeper into what does this plating look like? Because we talked about environment, but I even want to take it to like how, as a chef, and when I would work with a private client, one of the first things I would ask them, I would say what did you eat as a kid? What was the texture of what you ate? Because those are the things, when things go wrong, that's what you default to. You always go back to what was your comfort food, what got you out of that stressful situation back in the day. That's what happens. So I want you to think more about that. Like, what are the textures you gravitate towards? What are the colors that stimulate your hunger? Like, why is it that McDonald's and all these fast food companies use red, yellow, and white in their branding? Psychologically, those are colors that inspire us to be hungry. They know that. The shape of things. When we see certain shapes, we associate those with things. When we think of the height of the food, like flat, kind of like, this is going to sound gross, but imagine like throwing up, right? It's just kind of flat, and like that's what a lot of like beans and stuff just look, on the plate. But when you add shape to it, it's actually more inspiring. Your brain like, oh, that looks intriguing. And all I did was I took the same meal, but I put shape to it. Like salads, when they're just in a bowl, yeah, they're okay. But like when you actually put shape to the salad, much more, ooh, what's that? Because now you can see things. You can add even more textures. And then that's where we go to texture, right? So the texture is like, is it crunchy, creamy, soft, crisp? These are all communications, and they're all communicating to us in terms of like, well, not only what to eat, but what sensorially have we connected to in the past. So, for example, when I work with clients, I would say like, well, what's the food you hate eating? And it was always like Brussels sprouts. They were always like, oh, Brussels sprouts are so gross. And I'm like, okay, maybe, but how did you eat them? Oh, well, so-and-so cooked them for me, and they would boil them, and they'd be that light lime green color and pale, and it was just mushy. Okay, so you don't like mushy, pale green Brussels sprouts. But what if I toss them in some fat and I put them on a tray and I roast them and I make them crispy, not mushy, crispy. And instead of being pale green, they're bright green. Everyone I did that for, they were like, this is amazing. It tastes like a crispy, salty chip. Yet it's still a Brussels sprout. Completely reframed it. Of course, the other thing that people don't think about is like, who cooked it for you? If it was someone that was always yelling at you and they were saying like, you got to eat this. You can't leave this table until you finish. There are people out there starving, right? That was me. That was my household. And of course, those are the people that they were like, even today, people can come to me saying like, I was forced to eat liver and onions, and I would always sneak it. And I was like, yeah, so you probably don't, like organ meats are probably, it's not even that they don't taste good, but it's psychologically actually like, makes you feel like you're back in that trauma, right? So we can't just discard. This is all information, and it all contributes to, okay, how do I change, and what does my body need, right? So color, this is just kind of going even deeper into these things. Like, isn't it interesting that when you see red, you think of something spicy? That's interesting. Could be even a sweet bell pepper, but just because it's red, you're like, is that spicy? Right? If it's green, we kind of tend to think that it's maybe mild or that it's sweet. Why is that? Not necessarily true. Anyone that's had a jalapeno, it's green, right? Yeah. I mean, even orange. Orange is a habanero, right? They're all different colors. So, but yet our brains associate with these things because we've been creating these cultural, visual, psychological connections through food our entire lives. And some would even argue that even before you're born, that you're making these connections. Like they talk about in utero, right? What your mother is eating is shaping your palate. And some would even then go even deeper and say, well, just as humans, our body, and that's kind of what I'm talking about now, is like our body, our palates were formed so long ago, and so technically through the ages, that's still there. So there's an ancestral thing, but then there's also a literal, like what your mom ate, then what you were eating when you were now, 2 years old or whatnot, and then what kind of came with that psychologically. We also have the shapes, going deeper into that. So something I talk a lot about with clients, and definitely recommend you observing this, is if you're someone who struggles to make food from home, one of the best tips you can do is always make dinner leftovers. Always. Just make more of dinner. Because dinner is then lunch the next day. But here's the trick, because a lot of people get bored eating the same food. Like you talk to a lot of carnivore people, they feel great, but they get bored with their food, right? So what you do is you just change the shape of the food. So, for example, I call it, this is, obviously you can't do this with the carnivore, but there's still ways to shape it. You can use different cuts of the meat. But for shaping like dinner, I say you can either saladize it, like make it a salad, you can turn it into a wrap, or you can make it a soup. It's the same meal, but just by adding a couple little elements, it changes the shape of it. It now changes the texture, and it becomes like, oh, wow, this is like a new meal. I'm so excited to eat, right? It changes the psychology around it. When you use things like shapes can inspire you slowing down. So if you use cuts that you're unfamiliar with, when you use boneless cuts, you just chow through it, right? Because you don't have to cut around a bone. You can chop it up in ways that just feed your gullet really even faster. But if you eat cuts that you're unfamiliar with, your brain takes a second to even wrap around like, how do I eat this? So you just end up eating slower. I mean, you probably know that from like anyone that's used any nose to tail part of the animal, you don't eat them at the same duration. You don't eat them at the same speed. Because the things that are unfamiliar, we slow down with. So inspire that. Like try different cuts of meat. It will get you to actually eat slower. Shifting mindset, what else do I say? Like, yeah, turning it into a stew. For some reason, I always eat stews slower. Always. I just go slower. They're not as enjoyable to me, whereas a steak on a plate, I chow down. So when you learn that about yourself, use that to your advantage. Because slowing down gets you to be in your body. Breathing. I just ate this. How does this feel? Yeah, that felt good. I'm going to go for another, right? Because we can't expect, like everything I'm saying right now, you're going to leave like, I'm going to try that. Do not expect that you're going to figure it out after one meal. Like this is going to take time. You've got to walk or crawl before you can walk, right? So you've got to expect that learning to be in touch and listening to the cues that your body is producing is going to take some time. If it's taking you 20 years to numb out, how long is it going to take you to reconnect? Right? So don't think it's an overnight thing. It takes time. I'm also a big fan, like one of the reasons I did carnivore and stuff, but I just got bored really quickly because I really do thrive on like cooking. Like I'm a cook. I like to cook. I like flavor. I like color. I like shapes. I like these things. And so for me, using different cuts, as I mentioned earlier, it might inspire me culinarily. Like if you use oxtail, for example, you're going to slow cook it. You're not going to cook that the same way you would a ribeye. Like so look for those kind of like meat shares, for example, because when you do a meat share, you get a quarter cow or a half cow, you're going to be forced to get cuts you're not used to. And all you got to do is look them up. Janine here in the blue, she's got an amazing website called Awfully Good Cooking. She has literally cooked every single part of the animal. So you can go to her website, you'll find recipes to every part. Because you're like, wait, I just got this in my box. I don't know what the heck to do with that. We'll just go to Google, go to Janine's site. You know, it's all there for us. We just got to be open to trying something different. So texture. I mean, gosh, you guys, texture is the gateway to your psychology. Like, how many people love mac and cheese? Why? Why do you like mac and cheese? Well, when I was a kid, that's what I was rewarded with, or whatever. I'm watching. My wife loves mac and cheese, and I'm watching my kids they love it too. I did not grow up eating mac and cheese. I have no affinity towards it. I could care less. I look at it, it doesn't make me hungry. There's nothing about it. But those things that were like, I could never let go of this. It's like, well, there's something going on there. Like, that's probably an emotional tie there, and that's usually connected because of the texture. So we get these physical sensations. We get these emotional connections. It's an aesthetic thing. We call it mouthfeel. Mouthfeel is all about texture. And I promise you figure out your texture. Like in I'll just tell you right now, most women, it is really that simple, but most women are creamy, soft, and most men are crispy, and it's not, I know that's a generalization, but it's just true. It just works out like that. I don't know why, but it does. And so once you tap into the texture that you gravitate towards, you can make any healthy food attractive to you, because you just got to make it that texture. It's like I use with the Brussels sprout, or let's say if you boil meat versus cook it on a barbecue. Totally different texture, right? And it's going to inspire things. So if you can use texture as a gateway, like as an entry point into like just making anything fit that comfort food that originally attracted you. So that neuroscience is really like it's where everything comes together. So it's where our decision making happens. So it's our sense of taste and smell that are intertwined with that neural pathways. Because keep in mind, what's drawing you when you eat that sugar or when you do those chips? It's the dopamine rush, right? We're chasing that rush that happens from eating those foods. And like if you think about it, chips are a fascinating one, because when you eat a bag of chips, you really only taste the first 2 or 3 chips. Think about that. And I promise you, next time you're eating a bag of chips, I am 100% correct on this. You taste the first 2 or 3 chips. Thereafter, you don't taste anymore. It's your taste buds are completely blown out. It's just salty, and now you're chasing the crunch, the texture. You're no longer chasing flavor, and because the chip has no nutrition, because remember, flavor equals nutrition ancestrally, our body is like, okay, when's the nutrition coming? When's the nutrition coming? When's the nutrition? Because I got flavor earlier, but where's the nutrition? And our body literally doesn't know when to stop. And they know this. We are being manipulated. And that's not a conspiracy theory. We are. Because they are for-profit companies. They want to make money. They know. You're going to keep eating that bag unless you, A, portion it out, you don't buy it, and that's really it. So here is the pyramid. If I could recreate the food pyramid, this is how I would do it. And this is what I really want you to leave with. It's we are getting so in our heads about things, and we are getting so granular, and we're complicating things. In 20 years, this is what I've learned, is that the diets come and go, but you know what doesn't change is real food. Nutrient-dense food fills us. It makes us feel good in our body. You don't get bloated if you're eating the foods that your body tells you it likes, right? You don't feel like you have to undo your belt. You don't, like, I grew up where my dad, brother, myself, even my mom to a degree, but like flatulence all the time. I literally thought it was normal. I'm like, oh yeah, after you eat food, you just fart all day. Of course, that's what happens. And then not until I changed my diet, I'm like, wait, I'm not farting anymore. What is going on? I literally stopped having flatulence. Like, what? Oh, what I eat affects my health. I had no, right? So these are communications. If you get itchy skin after you eat food, that's a communication. If your eyes start watering after you eat certain foods. Now, spicy, your body is meant to water. So spicy foods, ancestrally, are what supported killing the parasites, are what supported your body in eliminating. It supported detoxification. That's why a lot of parasite protocols have like cayenne in them and stuff like that. So spicy foods are a little different when I say like if it makes your eyes water. However, if you're getting rashes when you're eating spicy foods, that might be a signal that that's not working for you. If you belch a lot after you eat foods, that's usually a hydrochloric acid issue. Like you don't have enough hydrochloric acid in your body, and so you're not digesting your food properly. There are signs. This is all legit. If you're waking up and you've got dark lines in your eyes, this is your body's sign that you're either eating foods that you're sensitive or allergic to, or you have adrenal issues. You know, there's all these things. If you're always craving tons of salt, a sign. If you're always craving spicy food, that's usually a magnesium deficiency. So all these things that we don't even connect, they're all signs that something deficient is happening. We're all deficient in some way. So they're all happening, but we're not listening. So I would say, at the top of my period, the thing that you want to focus on that's kind of the least, I would say, is flavor. Just like we've been talking about. Nutrition equals, or flavor equals nutrition, right? So be focusing on as many ancestral and natural flavors as you can. That's going to be your kind of like entry point of like, oh, this is good for me to eat, right? But it under that and supporting that is it's got to be nutrient dense. It's got to be real food. It's food that is an ingredient versus has an ingredient. Okay? Literally, if you read a list and you don't recognize it, put it aside, go find the ingredient that is the base of that. Okay? That's the thing that you can do, and then just recreate it. Like if you read the pasta, it's got 3 ingredients, well, okay, go get spaghetti squash, that's 1 ingredient. Go get zucchini, make zoodles, or just don't eat the pasta and put it over steak. I don't know, but find a single ingredient as the main thing and focus on that. But now, and this is the part that I personally think is revolutionary because no one's talking about this, or very few people are, is underneath all that is mindful eating. That's game-changing because now we're talking about you have the answer. Not the person outside the room, but the person here in this room, in your body. You have the answer of what you need to eat, but you have to mindfully eat when you do it. So you have to actually choose foods that are feeding the outcome you want. And notice I'm not telling you what your outcome is because I don't know what your outcome is. But you all have a desired outcome. And I'm just saying choose the food that will achieve the outcome you want. So if it's weight loss, I hope you're not choosing those chips and cookies and all that stuff, right? But if it's, I don't know, hydration, you better be eating fruit. You know what I'm saying? Like choose the foods that are for the outcome you want. That mindful eating, if you just start taking, so how can we start mindfully eating, you know? So I'll get to this, but mindfully eating would be like, here's just one simple tip, and maybe some of you already do it, but maybe you're just not doing it intentionally, is do a prayer before you eat. Doesn't matter what religion or spirituality, just do any kind of prayer. Like it literally forces you to take a second, to take a breath, and be thankful for the meal you're about to eat. That is slowing down, and now the next thing you put in your mouth is going to be more mindful than had you just gone to town. So that's just one little tip. So I want to talk about organ meats. Now, what's interesting is that I could go up to someone and say, hey, you want to try some organs? And if they've never tried it, they will literally go, and I'll be like, but you've never had it. They're like, no. And I'm like, I don't understand. But if I came up with a dessert that you've never had, you wouldn't act like, no, I don't want pudding, no cake, I don't know what that is. You would just be like, what's that? That's interesting, right? This psychology of what we talked about earlier, about we build these cases, this mindset of like what we are willing to eat, what we aren't willing to eat, what the flavor means, what this means, this association means that. Like it's all just story. It's not connected to what your body actually wants or needs. We've convinced ourselves of this, but it's BS. It's not at all true. It's not at all true. So organ meats, and Janine would be probably the first person to tell you, is they're actually pretty darn delicious. And even more importantly, your body actually wants them. You're just not giving your body a chance to do it. And once again, it's not an overnight thing. I can't just serve you liver and you'll be like, okay, I'll do it. Oh, this is so good. Like, you won't. You'll be like, this is gross. You'll still be like, because you haven't shaped your palate. In the U.S., we are skewed towards salty and sweet. So the palate is salt, sweet, sour, bitter, umami. Five flavors. In the U.S., think about it. Everything that's ultra-processed is either salty or sweet. So do you think when you eat sour foods, you're going to have this reaction? Of course you are. Remember, like, if you're like me, I grew up on Skippy. Skippy, we were told when we were growing up, when you don't know better, it's peanut butter. It's not peanut butter. It's literally candy. It has less peanuts than it has sugar, right? But you don't know that if you've never had contrast. So not until I tried Laurel Schroeder's, which is Shudders, whatever, that one was all peanuts. And I was like, and I ate that, and I'm like, ooh, this is gross. And then the person who gave it to me said, no, that's peanut butter. I don't know what the heck you're eating. That's peanut butter. And I'm not telling you peanuts are good or anything. I'm just using this as an example. But and it wasn't until I ate less of the Skippy and kept eating the other one that my palate changed. And you have to let your palate unchange before you can truly taste the food. I used to have a meal delivery service in LA, and I historically had this program called the Sugar Control Detox. And what it was I got people off of alcohol, I got people off of anything that was sweet, sugar. I got them off basically most starches and complex carbs, or simple carbs. And I basically got people eating healthy fat, protein, animal protein, and then some vegetables, low glycemic vegetables, right? So anything that converted quickly into your blood as sugar, I got rid of. 2 weeks only. So people entered this detox, I call it a detox, so it's really a recalibration of your palate. 2 weeks. And everyone here can try it, and I promise you, you will all come back a year from now and you'll say, Chef James, it worked. And it's completely sustainable too. You could do it forever if you wanted to. In 2 weeks, weight loss, palate completely changed, recalibrated. So let's say before the detox, they had 3 glasses of wine. By the end of the detox, in 2 weeks, they could barely finish a glass, barely a half a glass, because the wine now truly tasted sweet. They tasted the true flavor of the wine. Same with berries. So when you're on the detox, you can have blueberries, raspberries, or blackberries, but no other fruit, because every other fruit is really way too sweet. And then after 2 weeks, they tried a strawberry, and they're like, oh my God, this is a dessert. I'm like, yeah, it is. And if you recalibrate your palate, you no longer crave the brownies, the cookies, all that stuff, because the strawberry is enough. So 2 weeks, that's how quickly our bodies adapt. Just really quick. So why do I focus on organ meats? A couple things. One is I think it's literally insanity. Here we are talking about planet this, planet that, get an electric car. It's all BS, because the most planetary thing you can do is eat whole animal. We're already killing the animal. We're literally wasting about 50%, it's like 50% of the animal when we don't eat more than just the muscle. So 51, 49, whatever it is, percent of that animal is going to other industry, is going to pet, and sometimes is just getting thrown out. So are we honoring the animal when we only eat 50% of it? No. Wait a second. When we just eat the muscle meat, are we still nutrient deficient? Yeah, most people are. So what do we do? Oh, well, wait, I know what I mean. I'm going to go to that pharmacy and I'm going to buy a supplement. So I'm going to pay $25 for that bottle of supplements. I'll just take that pill. I could have eaten the whole animal, shoot. And that's even cheaper than the ribeye. Like the tongue, it's from the same grass-fed cow. The ribeye is $24.99, and I could have just gotten the tongue for $79. So shoot, I could have saved money. I could have gotten more nutrition, more flavor too, because the tongues actually taste better, and you can try it tomorrow when I do my cooking demo. And I got more nutrients than I would have, right? So we're literally, to me, that's the definition of insanity. We're getting rid of part of the animal. We're then turning around and feeding $1 trillion, or whatever, $1 billion industry of supplements when we could have just gotten it, honored the animal, and ate the whole animal. That's what our ancestors did. I guarantee, right? I guarantee when that tribe I talked about, us tribe, when we took a week to kill one animal, we did not waste a single bit of that animal. Everything. And where do when we drink raw milk, when we do anything around an animal and we're looking for clean animal, where do we go? Amish country. It's totally true. So Mother Nature's multivitamin, that's the other issue, is like, am I getting the right combination of these minerals and vitamins? Do I know that I'm going to be able to absorb these vitamins? Because you can't just give iron. Iron doesn't absorb by itself. You need complementary minerals and vitamins to absorb these things. Is the formulator of that supplement giving you the correct one? Well, if you're buying it from Trader Joe's, no, they are not. Trader Joe's is mostly byproduct. It's mostly filler. Right? It depends on where you're sourcing it from, but most of them, no, it's not true. But guess who is combining it properly? Mother Nature. Thank you, Mom. So Mother Nature's combining exactly how you need or want to absorb it, your body wants. It's also easily absorbed. You're not going to get too much when you're eating it, because like we talked about, that lingual response isn't going to let you try to eat frickin' 2 pounds of liver. You ain't going to do it. Your palate will just be like, I'm done. It's like your body will naturally not let you do it. It's a beautiful thing, our body, but you just got to let it work, do its job. Okay, beef liver compared to everything else, even red meat, high. Notice that everything else either has trace or none. Beef liver is the only one that checks off every box. And I know we're focused on liver, but the reality is I'm not here to tell you to eat more liver. I'm here to tell you to eat whole animal. Because even like the spleen has more iron than liver. So this idea that, okay, I love saying this. Like, so we're that tribe, right? Ancestor, we killed that animal. Oh, but there's 32 of us. Are there 32 livers? Are there 32 hearts? No, there's one. So guess who's not getting liver tonight? Most of us. But we might be getting spleen. We might be getting kidney. We might be getting other parts of it. But we're going to, so this idea that we're only supposed to eat one cut of the meat, ribeye, and that we're only supposed to eat one organ, it's like, who came up with this? Oh, probably someone that's trying to sell you something. But ancestrally, we ate the whole animal, and we got little parts of it. Sometimes we got something, sometimes we didn't. But we got it somewhere else. Because like I said, if you didn't get the liver that night, but you got the spleen, you're okay. Because you got iron, you still got all the, spleen's got tons of stuff too. You know what I mean? So you're getting it from other places. But if you're only eating the same cut all the time, then you're limiting your body's potential. And here's why it's important. And this is like a 2015 number. This is before COVID. Guarantee it's closer to 97 now. So here's just going back into the why I like to eat it versus swallow it, right? So first of all, when we get into capsule, we're hoping and praying to God that is truly a gelatin capsule. You do not know that for sure. And I have heard reports, and I know this is going to sound conspiracy theory, and maybe it is, I don't know, because I can't prove it, but I have heard reports of like some corpses, when they open up the stomach, there's just all these undigested capsules. When you buy a capsule from CVS and it's $5.99 versus some practitioner and it's $10.99 there, do you think it's the same quality product? Guarantee there's probably microplastics in it.
I mean, isn't it true, though, that your body cannot absorb manufactured vitamins?
I mean, I don't know if it's true that it can't absorb it, but it can potentially get too much. Something it may not absorb. I don't know, because every body is a little different in absorption, right? Which is a really important piece. And that's why I'm saying it's not about listening to what someone else is telling you to eat. It's like you may need more different salt amounts than someone else. You may need different nutrition than someone else. Like it's different for everyone. That's one of the reasons why, for example, with Pluck. So Pluck is a seasoning I created, and we give it in powder form. It's got liver, heart, kidney, spleen, pancreas. And the reason why we do it in that powder form is because we can then let you control it, how much you eat and how much your body craves. But even more importantly, we don't put a lot of salt in it. We use Redmond Real Salt, but it's the fourth ingredient. You get any other spice blend, salt is always the first ingredient because it's cheap. So when you're buying spice blends out there, what you're getting is seasoned salt. When you buy Pluck, you're getting seasoning that has salt. Get the difference? Very, very, your body recognizes it. Like, you get flavor versus just salt. And why I do that is because everyone has a different salt need. And I'd rather have you add salt than give you too much, and then you're just blowing everything out, and you're getting more than you need. Much rather have you add. So, yeah, and then, this is another kind of controversial thing, and I don't necessarily have proof, but I think we can all like kind of dig into our own sense memory of life and kind of connect to this. So when we get... it's very American to be like, I'm all in or I'm not. It's like all or nothing. You know, this idea it's like go big or go home. Like, that's such an American thing, right? But the reality is our body loves microdoses. Our body loves small amounts because it's so much easier to digest. It's so much easier to give your body a second to acclimate to whatever you're doing. That's why, like, typically when you're in, like, Europe or something like that, they don't give you as big of portions as we get here in the U.S. Even desserts are much smaller because you don't need much. And so this idea of the microdosing, it's easier to digest. That's where I would say small amounts are much easier to assimilate. And you can look at your entire humanity in that sense. Like, I always give the example of, like, okay, if you're someone that suffers from intimacy, and we could pick anything. I'm just going to pick something random like intimacy, right? Is you getting 24 hours of hugs, one day a month, going to really move your needle of intimacy? No, it's going to probably freak you out. And definitely the people that are around you, it's going to literally freak them. Like, this person has been hugging me for 24 hours. I want out. Right? It's like overwhelmed. It's oversensory. It's overwhelmed. However, if every day there's like little touches, you're touching someone's shoulder, you know, you're shaking their hand, you're looking them in the eye, there's a little bit every day, suddenly by the end of your month, you're like, I'm feeling more loved and I'm feeling more loving. Right? It's the little things that move our needle. It's the same thing with health. The yo-yo happens because we're all in. I'm going to conquer this. I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's like, are you? Because if we follow human nature, everyone at the top of the New Year says, these are my New Year's resolutions. And by January 31st, they are gone. They are done. By February 1st, no one is following what they started. The percentage is something like 98%. You guys. So I'm not joking, obviously. Like, we all can recognize this. We are human. We want regularity. We don't want change all the time. And so I look for the things that are the little movements that we can do daily. So what are some things we can do, little things we can do daily? And I'll get to this one. But little things might be going for a walk after you eat. Instead of worrying about going to the gym for 45 minutes, just do that. Go for a walk after you eat. Every time you eat, you go for a 15-minute walk. That is something everyone here can do daily. And I promise you, as long as you do it daily, you will absolutely change your health. What's another one? I can, every time I have a soda, a coffee, or a juice, I drink that same amount times 2 of water. Little thing. I season our food. Like, that's what I talk about with Pluck. Like we already all season our food. It's like, just change the Pluck, and now you don't have to think about even eating organ meats anymore. You're going to get the micro amounts all the time. Now, one of the big things I like to talk about regarding organ meats and just in general, this is beyond even organ meats, but umami. So umami, as I mentioned earlier, is the 5th unique taste. So there's an ingredient that a lot of ultra-processed food companies, they are adding to their products all the time. If you read the ingredient label, you see it. It's MSG. And sometimes it shows up in different forms. They hide it in other things. But the reason they do that is because it's umami. Umami is kind of like, I would say it's savory, it's meaty, and it literally makes the other flavors brighten and taste better. So when you get umami, which organ meats are, you not only are making your food taste better, but you actually trigger a part of your brain, an ancestral part, towards it makes you want to eat more of it. And they know that. That's why they put these foods in there. So this is the product that I've been talking about. We have a booth here, but how I would kind of say this to you, and I'm not necessarily just selling this product, but what I'm talking about is little movements. So if anyone's not eating organ meats, what I'm recommending is this is a gateway. So if organ meats are the gateway to nutritional abundance, then this is the gateway to organs because we make it so easy. But you don't have to stop here. You can then come to the cooking demo tomorrow, and I'll show you things that you can do to start actually incorporating the real organ. This is real, but I mean the whole organ into your diet. But it's easy. There's no cooking required. You're getting 5 organs, more than just that. And it doesn't taste icky. It tastes delicious. And if you're a father like me or a parent like me, kids love it. Try to make pate first time. Kids aren't going to probably eat it. But you sprinkle this on their popcorn, they'll go crazy for it. They'll literally go crazy for it. So before we go, though, let's talk about 2 things. So market manipulation. We know that this is happening. So we have produce that is not as nutrient dense as it was, and they're tracking this in the U.S. This has been tracked since the 50s. Every decade, they can literally chart it. They show how the produce, the food in the U.S. is actually declining. And of course, there's reasons for that. It's agricultural of how we do things. But they're not as nutritious. The tomato of today is not as nutritious as it was back in the day. So that's one thing. Sensory overload. Decision fatigue. Like, I remember I went to Europe when I was in my early 20s. And I had been traveling parts of Europe where there were no big box grocery stores. It was all tiny stores with maybe 1 item, not 20. And I got back. I flew back into New York. I spent, I think, a summer there, and I was traveling all around, and I was living off of bread and water, basically. And then I got to New York to visit my grandma, and I went into a grocery store, and I literally, almost fainted. I felt faint. I was at the cereal aisle or something, and I was like, oh, my God. I literally couldn't process how many options I had. So as we talked about when you fast, right? And when you fast and you come back to food. Charles back there with Pharaoh, he's fasting right now. He's going to eat tonight or tomorrow? Okay, there you go. So he's eating tonight, and I promise you when he goes to eat that food after fasting for 4 days, he's going to taste it in a way that he wouldn't have tasted it 4 days before. The same thing happens with with that decision fatigue, like that overwhelm. When you get some distance from how we do things in the grocery stores, it's amazing how your brain starts to change. So there's sensory overload. And then, of course, there's manipulation with the ultra-processed foods. We are constantly being manipulated with them. So this is all contributing to why we have to look to someone else to tell us what to eat. This is why we are confused, okay? So anyone out there is like, I should know better. It's like, no, you probably won't, because we are in a society that is supporting this culture of numbing out, of not knowing, of looking to these companies to tell us what to eat. And none of them are going to tell you because they're all profit-driven. So what can we do? Well, I've talked to so many experts about this because I'm all about, I'm a how guy. I'm like, I don't care, as I talked about, I don't care about the trend. I don't care. I only want what works, and I want to know that I can replicate it, that I can do it over and over. That's not going to be just one time, I'm going to do it once and then that's it. I want to know that I can actually make it a lifestyle. And everyone I talk to in the field, and I'm talking about people deep in the field, they all keep telling me, the only way we're going to change this industry is by voting with our dollars. It is the only way, because these companies are profit-driven. They're not evil. Everyone out there is like, oh, Monsanto is evil. It's like, no, they're not. They are profit-driven. They just want to make money. They do not see glyphosate the way we see it. So you can't expect them to have the same philosophy. They don't. So that's why we have to vote for their dollars. We have to make conscious whole food choices. And you have to be in your body so you know what you're doing with them. But I think we're now running over, so thank you. Come by my booth. Thank you, guys.